Hello, good evening, this is Diecast Loon. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Vintage Matchbox Mondays, episode 63, I believe, of Vintage Matchbox Mondays episodes. And this week, I thought I would do a bit of a nostalgia episode, mainly for me. When I started collecting vintage Matchbox a couple of years ago, or decided I was going to start collecting some vintage Matchbox, it was with the sole purpose of getting back the cars I had as a child, the cars that got me started on my journey of wanting to be into cars full stop, real cars as well as model cars. So I've not been collecting vintage pieces for that long, about a couple of years, something like that, and I've pretty much got all the cars back that I had as a kid. I've been very lucky. I've managed to find most of them. Now I'm not going to show all of the vintage pieces that I wanted. There's probably about 25 pieces all in all of vintage pieces that I had as a child. Obviously they're not the exact pieces, they're ones I've had to rebuy because obviously they're long gone. So I thought tonight I'd do some of my favourite pieces, or they're all my favourite pieces. What I mean is the ones I actually went after. So actual fact, they've all been seen at some point in other videos. So nothing's new, it's all stuff from my collection. But I just thought I'd do a bit of a nostalgia episode, just because I want to. No other reason for it. And I might do a two-part. I might do a bit the same next week with the other half that I've got in my collection. So like I said, the ones you're going to see tonight are all some of my favourite pieces that I wanted to get back in my life. So anyway, we'll start off with this one because it is out on the side, and it's obviously the Sand Digger. And I had this exact car when I was probably, I don't know how old I was. I wasn't very old. 7 or 8, something like that, maybe a little bit younger, maybe 6, I can't remember now, but I know I had this exact same piece. And like I said, it took a while because some cars stuck in my mind better than others when I started collecting these vintage pieces. I didn't start collecting vintage Matchbox just because they are cool, but I mainly started collecting because I wanted to get back the pieces that I once had. And now obviously I collect them because they're cool. So I've gone way past, I've managed to collect all the pieces I had as a child. So anyway, this is a Sand Digger. It's obviously based on a Volkswagen Beetle, a raised Volkswagen Beetle. And there you go. This one's 82, I believe, copyright. But I do have another variation of this as well. I have a red version. But for me, this was the version that mattered. So that was that's one of the first pieces I'm going to show today. Next piece, I'm just moving some cars around here, is this awesome 57 Chevy. And again, I had many of these as a kid. I had 2 or 3 different variations of this as a kid, but this was the one that stuck out the most. And this was the one that was the hardest to find, even though it's not a particularly uncommon casting. But again, find them in bashed up condition. But this one was boxed like new. And again, I had this when I was young. Used to love playing with the old 57 Chevy. Obviously has a little tipping bonnet. So very cool. And the original one is from the 70s. This isn't the original 79. I have the first issue of this, so to speak. But it was this one that was my favourite. So that's piece number 2. Piece number 3 is this very cool. I think this is a Chevy stock car. But I had this exact piece. And I don't know what it was. I had 2 of these. I've yet to find the second one in mint condition. It was in the Pepsi Coke livery, I believe. But like I said, I did have this one, so it was very cool to find it like new. And there you go, Chevy Pro Stocker. So very cool. And again, this one is, let's see what date it was. 80s anyway. There we go. Can't quite see the date, as you 1980, I believe. But anyway, it's a very cool. Another particularly very cool piece was this awesome Golden Eagle Jeep. And I can even place these when I had them to where I got them. I had a small stint in hospital when I was about 5 or 6, and I remember getting bought this car before I went. And I remember taking it to the hospital with me. Obviously, again, not this exact piece, but one exactly the same. So again, finding this, you can get anything you like on eBay. But I've been lucky. Most of these cars you're seeing tonight have been bought in the wild, so to speak. And I have the boxes to most of them. So that's a particularly special one. Another cool one's this awesome Renault 5. And again, I had it in this colour, but I didn't have it with these wheels like this. This one's a slightly rarer variation, if I remember rightly now, to have all the wheels blacked out. Because obviously I opened this was brand new, or unopened, should I say, from new. 1978 copyright. And like I said, I think the bit that's unusual on this is I think it's the silver base with the plain wheels, I think. But I did have a silver car, Renault 5. And again, to find it, open them, it takes you right back. So if I'm going through a little bit quicker, because I've got about 12 cars. Again, didn't get this one. I had to find this one and repair it, or should I say restore it. Even though I did an okay job on it. I've learned a bit since I first started doing restorations. I should have filled that dent in, but other than that, it didn't turn out too bad. As you can see, I re-chromed all the engine. I had to repair the bonnet. But I have got a few different Capris in really nice condition, but I wanted the plain orange one because of the plain orange one that I had. And like I said, the restoration didn't turn out too bad. So like I said, that's what I restored. So that is the orange Ford Capri. And obviously, you said it comes in a pinky colour with a black bonnet, orange colour with a black bonnet. There's red with a black bonnet, I believe. There is the offish pinky purple colour. And while speaking of that, I'll show this Rolls Royce, because that is a similar colour, maybe a little bit of brighter shade. One of the Capris comes in that colour, and there's the Hot Rockers as well. But this one, it's a bit dusty. This one's been out in the dust a little bit. Funnily enough, it's been my drawers. I don't know why it's dusty. But again, I had this exact same casting when I was a kid. If we did particularly well in our primary school when we were little, we used to get a chance to go in the Lucky Dip box. And then obviously there'd be all these different toys wrapped up, and I managed to pull this out of the Lucky Dip for working. You know, obviously I must have worked pretty well when I was in primary school. I must have done pretty good to pick something out of the Lucky Dip box. And like I said, this ain't the exact one, but it's the exact same casting. So there you go, Rolls Royce Silver Shadow. And like I said, this particular one is from the 60s, so again, to find it in this survivor condition is very cool. So pretty cool. So that's the Rolls Royce. Showed this a few weeks ago. Obviously, again, this is an ambulance, but I had this exact one, and again, finding it in good, what I call, it's not play worn. This is what I like to call survivor, as it's obviously been played with, but it's not beaten to death. There you go, still has its paper stickers. So that is obviously the ambulance, or whether it is there you go, number 41 ambulance, 77 copyright, made in England, all that good stuff. And like I said before, when they used to push these, they used to waddle backwards and forwards because they didn't have suspension on these, but because they were quite a top heavy casting, they used to waddle when you push them. So very cool. Getting down through the pieces now. This is a particularly cool piece. I think this is the first decent vintage Matchbox piece I found of what I call the nostalgia pieces. I knocked the camera. Of the nostalgia pieces, so pieces I had as a child. So very lucky to find this. This is a Roller-Matics. Obviously, if you spin the wheels, the lion does move. But yeah, it's in really, really nice condition. There's all the canopy, and they did do different variations. They did a light canopy, they did a dark canopy, and then there's obviously another wildlife truck, and it's in like a zebra pattern or zebra pattern, depending where you're from, which is not particularly rare. It's just more of a rarer variation than this, or should I say this is the more common version. And I believe there's also a dog truck version, which was a green, which I have somewhere, with a canopy, and they did a couple of different variations of that too. And I think it's based on the Ford F100. So very cool. So that is the wildlife truck. Now we're getting down to some of my favourites. This isn't Matchbox. I just wanted to show it, as I actually forgot that I owned one of these as a child. Over here in the UK, we have a program, or I don't know if it's still being shown. I think it is, called Postman Pat. He used to drive around in a little red van, but I think the little red van was made up. It wasn't actually a real vehicle. But this reminded me of it. And when I was a kid, I had the exact same casting, and I just opened these back doors up and shove in pieces of paper and make out I was like a little postman. The games you play when you're a kid. But I actually forgot I ever had one of these. And when I was at a flea market, I picked this up thinking it was a vintage Matchbox, and as soon as I picked it up, I had that strange feeling and remembered straight away that I had this exact casting. And this is a Husky, which was made by the same company that owned Corgi. But it is a Ford Thames, and again, this is from the 60s, so it's in remarkably good condition. Missing its ladder. I think there's a ladder there, and I think there's a little aerial antenna there, because it's supposed to be like a television van, I think, if I remember rightly. So I just thought I'd show that. And now we're getting down to my two favourite pieces. So this is one of them. This is the BMW, I think it's I can't remember what it is now. CSI? GSI? CSI. Where we do? BMW 3 litre CSL, sorry, is it L? CSL. Beautiful piece. Lovely condition. It's got a factory defect there, but it was done after the before the painting process, because obviously the paint would be chipped. Yeah, very, very cool piece. One of my favourite pieces as a child, and one of my favourite vintage pieces as an adult. And again, these ain't particularly rare, but they're hard to find in the wild, especially in mint condition. And again, I have the box to it. And obviously, I've shown this before, but this is probably my favourite vintage Matchbox piece I have, which is the Ford Cortina. This is based on the Mark IV Ford Cortina, and like I said, my dad used to have the exact same car, just in a darker shade of green. And obviously as a kid I had this exact same toy. But anyway, I have shown it before, so I'm not going to go too mad. But again, this is from late 70, sort of 78, 79. But anyway, so that is this week's episode. A bit random, I know. I just thought, why not? Because I am getting I've pretty much got all the pieces back that I wanted, all the pieces back that I can remember. And like I said, there's one or two pieces out there that I'd still like to get. They're like some majorettes that I would like, and some one or two Hot Wheels that I'd like that I had. But to be perfectly honest, I mainly had Matchbox in my collection, so we can get that in somewhere maybe. Zoom out a little bit. So there they are. So anyway, a bit of a random episode. I have got some stuff that I want to show, some newer pieces that I found, but I may do a number 2 to this and show the rest of the vintage pieces that I went after because I had them as a kid. And that's the thing with collecting, is to collect what it is you are passionate about and what you love. And obviously, as much as I'm a car guy, and as much as I enjoy collecting premium pieces and more lifelike models, it's the vintage Matchbox that has always done it for me. But anyway, with that, please like, share, subscribe, stay tuned for more vintage Matchbox Monday's episode. I may do a video this Wednesday, as I've got some pretty cool mainline Hot Wheels that I found. But anyway, with that, I'll see you all very soon. Thank you for watching. Take care.